Eat that frog. You're never going to get everything done. There isn't just enough time for you to complete all your tasks and have fun, and also keep up with social media and the shows you want to watch and the books you want to read. Even if you are a pro at productivity techniques and tools, more and more things will pop up to fill the time you've freed by being more productive. So the only way to regain control of your time is to focus solely on the most important thing that you have to do. This is what author Brian Tracy calls eating the frog in his bestseller, Eat That Frog. Start with the hardest, 21 ways to overcome laziness and become highly efficient and productive. You have to do the most important task of your day first and do it well, ignoring everything else. In this Arata Academy summary, we'll explain to you how the main ideas of this book can apply to your daily life. Now attention, this is a book summary. Read the full disclaimer before proceeding. Learn to eat a frog every day. This habit can transform your productivity. Author Mark Twain said that if you have to eat a frog, everything else becomes easier to swallow. The idea of eating frogs is so central to Brian Tracy that this is the name of the book. If you start every single day by doing first your hardest, the most important task, this consistent habit will improve your productivity. Your performance will be better than 99% of the people around you. If you find it hard to decide which task in your day is the most important, you have to use this little trick. The most important task is the one you are most procrastinating on. We already talked about this in the episode 223 of the Hello, Sage Arata series. The resistance to doing something, to doing a task, clearly indicates which are the tasks you should prioritize to transform your life. This is also the first of the 7 habits of highly effective people, which we summarized in the episode number 7 of this series, Arata Academy Summary. You have to do the most important thing first. Completing your most important task first has 2 practical rewards on your well-being. Firstly, when you complete a difficult task, endorphins are released in your body. You feel immediately satisfaction from freeing yourself from something that was consuming your energy. This can create a virtuous cycle where you become addicted to tackling the most complex tasks head-on. Secondly, you put yourself on the path to long-term success. You already know that overcoming procrastination is essential for your productivity. Now the problem is how to do it. And to be honest, so far Brian Tracy here is not saying anything particularly new. Anybody who's familiar with basic productivity techniques knows that overcoming procrastination is one of the most obvious, but also one of the hardest things to do. Now the author also knows that. And that is why, right after stressing the importance of doing the most important thing first, he compiles a list of ways to overcome laziness and become highly efficient and productive. And it all starts with one of the most popular techniques of all time, setting your goals. Boost your clarity level by setting the goals the right way. The subject here might seem a little bit obvious, but there's a reason that everyone is talking about goal setting. It is because setting goals is the right way and it generally works. Brian Tracy shares his views on goal setting with some pretty interesting details. For example, when you're setting your professional goals, you have to do this together with your boss, with your supervisor. You have to write down the goal you want to achieve and go even further. You have to include all the steps you need to take to move from your current situation, your current state, to your desired outcome. Then, you have to turn this list into a practical action plan to prioritize the tasks in the order they need to be done, and also to set a time limit both for achieving the goal and for each task that you listed. Lastly, you have to remember that a plan is useless without action. You have to do something every day to advance your goals, ticking off each task in your list step by step. And at the end of each day, you have to list the most important tasks you have to do the next day. Think of this planning as a roadmap. You have to include the tasks that you usually have to do, like, I don't know, taking your kids to school or going to the gym, but also leave room for important tasks to meet your goals. This is a refinement of your goal. If before you define an overall plan of your goals and the steps you need to take to achieve each of them, now you need to pick from this enormous list the few tasks that you can accomplish the next day. When you do this, your productivity can increase by up to 25%. You have to prioritize what is more important by using the Pareto principle. 20% of your tasks will yield 80% of the results. At Productivity Ninja, you will find a detailed explanation on how to put this Pareto principle into practice in your life. In short, the Pareto principle says that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. So, your job here is to identify within your massive task list, where are they? Which are the 20% that can cause the most impact? Sure, it is not mathematically perfect, but having clarity on the balance between effort and outcome will absolutely help you to prioritize what is really important. When you're planning the next day, you have to avoid a long list of minor tasks that basically are not going to get you anywhere. It is better to choose fewer tasks, provided that they are high-impact tasks. You want a practical way to identify your most important tasks? Don't think about the task itself. Think about the consequences of having completed that particular task. For this, you should ask yourself 3 questions. Number 1, what tasks will have the most impact on my life? Number 2, what can I do on my own that will bring the most significant impact? Number 3, what is the best use of my time right now? Always do the highest impact task first, especially if it generates positive consequences that will accumulate in the long term. Since you won't beat procrastination, at least practice creative procrastination. Procrastination is basically like in our DNA. No matter how productive you are, sooner or later you will end up procrastinating. And that's okay. When that happens, you can use the strategy of creative procrastination. Now, what do we mean by that? Instead of procrastinating by, as you maybe always do, scrolling through social media feeds or, watching TV, your guilty pleasure, whatever that may be, use that time to perform small and less important tasks that you've been avoiding. A good tip here is to keep a specific list of all these small tasks, and you can focus on them when you're out of energy to tackle the really big important activities or tasks in your list. You can use the ABCDE method to rank all your tasks in order of importance. Whenever you have your task list ready, you can classify each of the tasks using the letters A, B, C, D, E. A are the tasks that you must do right now because they are obligatory, they are very important. Ignoring these tasks will have a negative impact on your life. For example, an A task is something that your boss has asked you to do, to deliver by the end of the week. So, A. B tasks are those that you should do. For example, replying to that WhatsApp message or doing a follow-up to a client about a sale. C tasks are those that would be nice for you to do, but they're not obligatory. An example is having lunch with a work colleague. It would be nice if you went. It would help you with networking, I don't know. But if you don't, the outcome won't be that negative. D tasks are those you can delegate. If you have a team, a secretary, or anyone else who can perform a task in your place without damaging the outcome, you can delegate. Knowing how to delegate is essential for you to better allocate your time and focus on the A tasks, the ones that only you can do. Now, E tasks are those that you should eliminate. You know, those tasks that one day you wrote down in your list, but later you saw that they were neither important nor urgent. If tasks have lost their meaning over time, eliminate them from your list. Focus on the essential areas of your life and apply the law of three tasks. There are various areas in your life, but not all of them have the same level of importance. Health, work, family, finances, for example, are essential areas that deserve special attention. Ideally, you should focus on these more important areas, especially those where you are the sole responsible person for completing those tasks. For each of these tasks, you can apply the law of three tasks. Look at your whole list. Choose three tasks that will add the most value, contribute most to the results in that particular field, in that area. And then you can focus on these three tasks one at a time before you get distracted by items of less importance. This part is essential. Even if you are here, if you've listed three tasks, you can only do one. You can tackle only one task per time. Your preparation can be as important as the task itself. Before you start any task, get everything that you will need to accomplish that task. If you want to do this, you're going to have to interrupt the work and may end up finding another excuse to procrastinate. To avoid distractions, you also have to get rid of what is not needed. If you don't need your mobile phone, well, leave it elsewhere. If you don't need the internet, turn off the Wi-Fi. You can find everything that you need about your preparation in high productivity levels within our Productivity Ninja training by going to the link arata.se/productivity ninja. In your preparation, identify what your weak points are. The question is, what is stopping you from completing that task? Do you need to study more, to learn something, improve a particular skill? Investing in yourself is an excellent way to overcome your limitations. The ability to intentionally improve is what set us, humans, apart from other animals. So don't waste that ability and put pressure on yourself. Drive yourself to always be in action. Don't be just a passenger in your own life. Be the pilot. Don't wait for someone else to come along and motivate you or tell you what to do. Set high standards for yourself in a way that pushes you beyond what you think that you can achieve today. One tip is to set tight deadlines for your tasks, preferably with a negative, nasty consequence if you fail to meet them. You have to also pay attention to your internal monologue as well. You have to try to foster a positive conversation in your head that motivates you to be always in action. One way to keep a positive internal monologue is to avoid complaining, blaming others, making excuses for not doing what you should be doing. Technology is a terrible master, but it is a brilliant servant. You have an incredibly powerful computer in your pocket. This computer, your mobile phone, it can either have you spending hours endlessly scrolling, going and going, or you can structure your life and alert you about the important tasks that you need to complete. There is a tendency that we have to blame our phones for everything bad that happens in our lives, but the secret here lies in your focus. If you focus on apps and features that will distract you, well, your technology will be ruling you. However, if you focus on your phone and your computer as tools to make your work easier, your performance could skyrocket. So this way you rule over the technology. You make it the perfect servant. You can use task managers with time and geolocation reminders, even artificial intelligence, to tell you what is the next step, and do searches and filters and show exactly what you need to do in each context of your day. Focus on one task at a time. Avoid multitasking on computers with multiple tabs and multiple programs open. Turn off the notifications and alerts, especially from message groups and emails. So when you start a task, you can be fully focused on finishing it. Procrastination occurs more with big, difficult tasks. Therefore, you have to break any large task into multiple smaller pieces. The main reason for procrastination is our laziness to tackle a large, a complicated task. A good way to solve this problem is to transform what once was a complex task into a project with several small tasks. For example, writing a book. Well, writing a book is a big, challenging task, and many people procrastinate because it seems overwhelmingly big. Now, think of a task like creating the outline of the chapters. Well, that's quite a small task that you can solve with just a few moments of reflection, right? You have to write the first paragraph, the first chapter. That's another small task. That's how it should be. If you think about it, nobody should be having the task of writing a book. And also, you can't do that. Almost all the tasks that we perceive as big tasks, actually, they are a series of small tasks that will produce the final result. Your list is also like this. Your job is to break down supposedly large tasks into what they really are. They're a series of small tasks. And when you do this, remember to tackle each small task one at a time. Ideally, start and finish in just one work session. If a task is going to take longer than that, you can break it down into smaller tasks, even smaller pieces. Use the technique of time blocks and develop a sense of urgency. Time block technique is one of the most effective in the productivity world, and it also has been talked about in our interactive activities inside our Productivity Ninja training. We've talked about the time block technique many times. So basically, what do we need to do? What you need to do is to choose one single task, set aside a block of time, a particular amount of minutes, set a timer for that specific time, and then just work exclusively on that single task until your timer goes off. So during this time block, all distractions should be put aside. Your phone goes off, put it in another room, internet access only for what you need, close the door. At most have a piece of paper and a pen beside you when some idea, some distraction pops up in your mind, and so you can write it down very quickly and deal with it later. Furthermore, time can work in your favor if you make a habit of setting deadlines for your tasks. Even for those that don't have an external deadline, for example, if you keep saying you need to document your customer service process, but you never actually get round to it, set a deadline. And then you write down what the negative consequence will be if you fail to meet this deadline. Setting deadlines for important tasks is essential. If you don't do this, you only deal with urgent tasks, always leaving the important ones on the back burner. The result is that in your diet you have only swallowed the urgent frogs, which are important to other people, but you'll never actually nourish yourself with the frogs that are truly important to you. Eat That Frog is valuable for compiling so many productivity techniques and focusing on a habit of doing the most important thing first. This book interestingly summarizes much of what you need to know to become a more productive person. Of course, you can go beyond these basic productivity techniques, and that is why now I invite you again to watch a special lesson from the Productivity Ninja training by visiting the address arata.se/productivity ninja.